Hello there and welcome. This is a very spontaneous live stream and it is early here on a Sunday morning in New York. It's about 9:30. So I know if you're on the East Coast, geez, I mean, you might be up, some of you are up early. If you're on the West Coast, you probably are not going to see this live stream. But if you're in other countries, I am going to have a chance to connect with you. Hello there. I think it's Marie Guzman. Nice to see you. Okay, let me see. My comments section is giving me a lot of noise that I don't want to see. Hi, Gigi. Good morning, everybody. So, this live stream was prompted because of a discussion that I was having yesterday with my students in our class, our secondary progressions class about predictive astrology. And I thought I would hop on here and have this conversation with you guys really quick, a little dialogue. I want to hear your thoughts and your comments if you're here on the live stream about the role of intuition in astrology and astrologers and the technical part of being an astrologer, and remind all of you that this is a highly skilled specialty that must be studied in depth in order to become proficient at. And while it is true that many, many, many astrologers are also intuitive, you cannot rely on your intuition alone and be a competent, skilled astrologer. And these are two different things. So I want to have that little conversation. And for those of you who happen to hop on this new, find me, hello there, welcome. My name is Maria DeSimone. I'm a professional astrologer. For those of you who are here, subscribe to my channel. I appreciate you. It's great to see you. And you may know that we are coming to the end of my 3-day gratitude sale. So I do want to remind you, especially if you are in another country seeing this and you're in a different time zone, I offer this once a year only. I max out the discount I can possibly give you for a personal consultation with me where you and I are talking exclusively about your life, your specific cycles, your astrology, your birth chart. And this is a 30% off discount. You go to insightfulastrology.com, enter coupon code gratitude30 at checkout, and you can schedule either a half-hour or a 1-hour session with me. The details of my consultations are on the website, but I want to remind you, depending on when you see this video, this is over at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time today, November 30th. So my time, my 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time, that coupon code is dead. It no longer works. And if you are thinking about having a proper consultation with a professional astrologer who is highly skilled in this area and also knows how to counsel you, how to talk to you, how to help you bring your astrology to life, then I invite you to become one of my clients. If you are a return client considering a year ahead update, this is an amazing time to schedule your session because you know very well this is the biggest discount I ever offer people. And it is for 3 days only. And you can also email me and use this as a gift for someone else. If you want me to send them in a gift card via email, you can make a holiday gift request and use this coupon code for someone else. So there's a lot of options there. I hope you go to insightfulastrology.com to connect with me and have me look at your astrology. So let's get to the topic. This whole role of intuition. In the comments, let me know if you consider yourself intuitive. Let me know if you consider yourself psychic. And there are many indicators of psychic and spiritual ability, for sure, in a birth chart in general. And I think that we all have psychic ability to some extent. Some of us are more tuned into our intuition than others. But astrology, you have to remember that while astrology is a metaphysical tool and a metaphysical science, it is a science. And people forget this. People forget that astrology is an extraordinarily technical skill, thousands of years old. To become a doctor thousands of years ago, you had to also be a competent astrologer. To be an astronomer, you automatically had to also be an astrologer. This was a highly revered specialty. And it is very technical sometimes. You have to learn how to accumulate data. You have to learn how to study cycles and patterns, and you have to learn how to organize and judge the measurements and to identify what cycles are important for any given time period for a particular individual, because what's important to me is going to be very different, and you're going to respond very differently in your birth chart and your life experience. And an astrologer has to understand all of these considerations. And so one of the ways that I help my students separate, it's like separating church and state. We separate the skill of being an astrologer from using your intuition. And how we do that is in the beginning, I tell all of my students from the intro class, I say, listen, I don't care if you're psychic. Congratulations. In my class right now, we are going to put your psychic ability and your intuition over here. And we're going to say, hold please to that intuition, because you are in these classes and you are studying astrology to become an astrologer. And that means you have to competently learn this language and this skill. And you have to understand that that is separate from your intuition. You can be an amazing intuitive astrologer, but you cannot. There's just no way that you're going to be an astrologer unless you have the skill. And so an example of this is in my classes, as we get to predictive astrology, people are so tempted, you get lost in the measurements. I'll show you. I'll show you an example. Let me hide the person's name because it's actually a client. So I want to show you. See this? This is what a time search looks like. When someone schedules a personal consultation with me, you are going to have that piece of paper printed out with a combination of your transits against your natal birth chart, your secondary progressions, and your solar arc directions. These are the measurements. That's the data. And an astrologer needs to know the skill of how to take these data points here. See, it's pretty in depth. You see that? These data points, and turn them into something meaningful for the client. Turn them into something meaningful to identify themes that are likely to be prevalent at any given moment in an individual's life, and to talk about those themes, and then to make predictions about that energy, because that piece of paper is symbolizing the energy that you are exposed to at any given time, and how you're likely to respond to that energy, and what outer events are likely to manifest in your world. And so if you rely strictly on your intuition and you look at a piece of paper like that, you look at the data, you could easily lose focus, very easily. If you are not following a system, a methodology, then you're going to get lost. Because the most amazing psychics, and I know, I'm surrounded by psychics and mediums and spiritual people and astrologers, obviously. But the most amazing psychics I know, very often, there are only a couple out of dozens and dozens that I am close with who are good at timing. Most of them are not good at timing at all. They are good at identifying the energy and making those predictions of, oh, hey, you're going to meet someone, or, oh, hey, there's a career opportunity, but they can't tell you when. This tells you when. This tells you what and when. Do you see the difference here? Not only does that piece of paper in the hands of a trained astrologer tell you the what, tell you that, hey, you're going to meet someone. Hey, you're going to have a career opportunity. Hey, you might have a health crisis coming up. It'll tell you the what, but it goes further, and astrology tells you when. And if you focus too much on your intuition only, then it is very difficult to become a highly skilled astrologer. So that's why when I teach you astrology and you take any of my classes, before you go rogue and use that intuition, which I do help you use later on, but first I tell you, it goes on the shelf. You tell it to shut up for a little while until everything you say has to be backed up astrologically, because we are learning to become astrologers, not psychics. Please let me know in the comments if I am making sense or if I'm babbling. I really want to hear your thoughts. This is a pretty interesting topic, and it's a very relevant topic to my students, especially because so many of my students have very strong intuition. And I'm not telling you to disown your intuition. I am reminding you that my role in your life is as an astrologer, as an astrology mentor. And I have to teach you astrology before your intuition can sing. So good morning, Jalen. Good morning, Tanya. Lazy Philo Math. Welcome. Hi, guys. I'm curious. Weigh in. And I'm going to keep this live stream pretty short. I don't want to spend too much time here because I actually have to go to my daughter's house. I'm helping her clean these days. She's at the end of her pregnancy and trying to get her master's degree. She's graduating in a couple of weeks, so she's got a lot going on, and I'm just trying to help her. So I do have to go and be the cleaning lady. Hello, Patricia. Welcome. So it seems like a lot of you guys are hopping on here late. You might actually not even have heard the whole conversation, but for those of you who were here from the beginning, I want to hear your thoughts about this topic. Have you ever studied astrology? How are you intuitive? Also, when I won't say something, I won't make a prediction unless it's backed up astrologically. Even if my intuition is saying, Maria, I always go back and find the evidence, the astrological data points to back up what my intuition wants to say, because by doing that, we are adhering to a certain standard as astrologers, which I think is important. And when I teach predictive astrology, I do teach you that this rule of 3 should be followed, because that is your checkpoint. That is your ethical litmus test to making predictions. You're not going to make a prediction unless you have this rule of 3 showing up, where at least 3 times in strong testimonies, not small, and I teach you what the difference is, a certain topic is being revealed, then you can make the prediction with confidence and ethically, and usually very accurately. So that's another part of this. And that's it. My little soapbox today. I just really wanted to also remind you that I appreciate you all so much. I have a comment here. I found that after years of study, when I look at a stranger's chart, my brain goes blank. I don't know where to start. I'm so glad you said that. That is a very common problem that astrology students have. And the reason why your brain goes blank is because you're overwhelmed by the data and you don't know how to focus it, how to organize it. And that is what I teach in my classes. There are some fabulous astrologers and astrology teachers out there, and always do your research and find the teacher, the mentor that is right for you. But make no mistake, you cannot be a highly skilled astrologer through self-study alone. You are fooling yourself if you think, I'm not saying that you are 592, but this is just a great way for me to explain this point. Self-study will only take you so far. It does not teach you how to organize your measurements, how to judge your measurements. You need a mentor for that. You need someone to say, hey, here's the system. Here's what's important. Here's the methodology. Jaylene just asked, would you recommend your classes to those who use the whole sign house system? Absolutely. But you're going to use Placidus when you're studying with me. And the reason why you're going to use Placidus when you're studying with me is because the student has to conform to the teacher's methods of teaching. It can't be the other way around. And why I use the Placidus house system is very well explained when you are a student of mine. And if you've watched my videos, that I am very much pro any house system that you are competent using. I always say they all work, but it is the astrologer's skill that allows the horoscope to shine. And certain house systems have better performance under certain techniques, right? So if you're doing predictive work with zodiacal releasing or with annual perfections or with another sign-based technique, I believe very strongly you should be using the whole sign house system, because that is where the whole sign house system sings. On the other hand, if you are using degree-based techniques like transits, secondary progressions, I believe you should be using the Placidus house system or another quadrant house system. And I explain in detail why when you are my student, and I demonstrate it to you, and I teach you how to be the mad scientist yourself, to objectively figure this out for yourself, so that you can see my points and what I'm saying. But it's impossible to do all of that in YouTube videos. We can only take YouTube videos so far. You have to thoroughly, properly study. Now, when it comes to natal chart analysis, any house system works. And people get so tied to, oh, my sun sign goes from the 10th house to the 11th house if I switch house systems. Or, you really want your Venus to be in the first house and not the 12th house. But if you go to Placidus from whole sign, all of a sudden your Venus gets screwed up. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It is the techniques that you're using. If you're that black and white and blocked about a house system, then you're not seeing the full picture. You're not understanding that all of the house systems work, and you can give me a birth chart in any house system, and I am going to get accurate information about your personality and your potential. And it is not this or that. It is this and that. And so if your sun sign or Venus is in a different house, when you change your house systems, there is going to be a nuance there. Two things can be true at the same time. And people have to open their minds and understand that our astrology is this vast, rich subject that is not limited to, it's got to be this way. No, it's so much deeper than that. And when you allow yourself to be a student and to have that open mind and to absorb what other astrologers want to share with you, then once you learn the skills and the techniques, you can make that informed decision for yourself, what works for you. But in my classes, I absolutely insist that you use the Placidus house system. Those are the charts that I give you. Those are the charts that we use with, because all of my classes are personalized. So you're going to get your charts, your classmates' charts. And the strengths of the Placidus house system is that it gets a little bit more nuanced with rulership dynamics. It's very simple with the whole sign house system. And sometimes simplicity is wonderful. But what has happened over the past 20 years, I feel, is that as the whole sign house system has become popularized once again, early learning astrology students are getting lazy, I think. And I don't mean this in an insulting way, but when you learn on a system that is so simplistic and so obvious, sometimes it makes it more difficult for you to then open your mind and branch out and see the nuance in a quadrant house system and you kind of shut down and say, no, has to be whole sign because that's the easiest. It makes the most sense. Not necessarily. It's just a matter of technique and learning. And so I hope that you decide to open your mind and become a student if that fits with you. And if it doesn't, if you are a diehard whole sign person, then maybe you don't want to be a modern Western astrologer. Maybe you want to be a Hellenistic astrologer, a traditional astrologer. Maybe that's your branch of astrology, and that's fine, because you're going to be focused on the techniques that are applicable specifically to the whole sign house system with Hellenistic astrology. But I am a modern Western astrologer, and I use traditional techniques judiciously in my practice. So I'll use the traditional rulerships. I will look at essential dignity. I will look at certain topics that traditional astrologers use, but I use it in the context of being a modern astrologer. And so there is that difference, and that's how I practice astrology. So when you're looking for an astrology teacher, keep all this in mind. Okay, let's see. Oh, thank you, Mary. Mary Guzman says, love the way you explained it all. I appreciate that. That's so kind. Would you say, okay, so CHT is asking, would you say that even though astrology can tell you not a lot, it is not definitive. It is just very probable that certain things might happen. So that's a great question. Astrology can identify very specific themes and patterns, but there are multiple ways that the theme can manifest based on the houses and the house rulerships. So you can say that you're seeing heavy, and we had this an example yesterday, actually. It was an event chart for a student. I always have my students in my predictive astrology classes pick a major life event from the past so that we can pick it apart and study and look at the transits, the progressions, all of that. And so she picked the date that she started dating the man that she married. And she met this man and they got married within a year. So it was a pretty quick romance. So I always help students identify, well, what if you're going to make the prediction? So if we were reverse engineering it and this person came to you for a consultation and you were going to make a prediction of a great love story coming up, what would you expect to see in the chart? What evidence? So in that case, it's seventh house activation, ruler of the seventh house, planets in the seventh house, the planet Venus, first seventh house, etc. But also the fifth house, because the fifth house rules romance and dating and meeting someone and sex. So when you're meeting someone, you might also see fifth house activation. Well, she had heavy fifth house activation. Transiting Uranus was conjunct her north node. She had major progressions, Pluto conjunct Venus by progression, Pluto square Mars, ruler of her ascendant, by progression, and others that I can't forget right now. The progressed sun, I think, was on the ascendant. There were multiple indicators. The rule of three was fulfilled for the relationship. But the rule of three, her progressed moon was in Cancer and making a trine to her, I think it was her natal Venus. I think it was natal Venus. Yeah, Venus in Scorpio. And so what that also meant, and Mars was the ruler of her fifth house, and I know I'm talking fast, but this is to your point, to your question. That event was about meeting the love of her life and then getting married. But in that same year, she got pregnant. And so we were focused on the relationship part. And when she was giving us the feedback, she added in, oh, and by the way, I also got pregnant. It was a whirlwind. We were married and I got pregnant all within a year and we moved in together. And then when you look back at the chart, you're seeing, oh yeah, the rule of three is also fulfilled for pregnancy. And it was. Ruler of the fifth, Mars, was activated by progression, transiting Uranus. In the fifth was conjunct the north node of destiny, and the progressed moon was in Cancer, trine Venus, her chart ruler. Those were testimonies for fertility. Rule of three was fulfilled. But we, as the astrologers, were not looking at that and we're not focused on that. And if she was having a consultation with us, we would have missed that. We probably wouldn't have made that prediction if we were focused so much on the relationship. So yes, you have to very carefully consider rulership dynamics, and you have to understand that there's a lot of room here. All houses mean different things. Planets signify different things. And this is where the lark or the intuition comes in as an astrologer, because once you have the skill, once you know how to organize that data and those measurements and to judge them, that's the skill, that's the technical part. And I just explained that to you. Once you have that, then in the consultation dynamic with someone, your intuition will start to take over more and more. And you're going to say, oh, hey, this looks like it's going to be a fabulous relationship year with you. But, oh, P.S., are you looking to get pregnant? It looks like fertility is enhanced as well. So you see how that works? So yes, I think that was a really long answer, but it was a great question. And we talk about this all the time in my classes with my students. And you are right. Astrologers are not infallible. We are not God. We are messengers of God. So we are not infallible. And when I say God, higher power, source, higher consciousness, whatever your belief system is, I call it God for simplicity. And I'm not really locked into there has to be this God or that God. It's more about this connection to the divine, because there is a higher consciousness. We are all part of this amazing universal universe and sacred mystery. And we're not infallible. We're humans. We are human beings attempting to decipher a divine, sacred language of the soul. So, of course, human beings make errors and mistakes. And by learning astrology with as much skill and technical methodology and mastery as you can, you are not going to eliminate the error of human beings, but you're going to minimize them, but in extraordinary ways. So when you're hiring an astrologer, make sure you, especially if it's for predictive astrology, make sure you ask them, do they have a methodology for organizing their measurements, for their data? And if they can't answer that question, don't hire that astrologer for predictive purposes. And so okay, on that note, it's almost a half an hour. I just want to say thank you all so much. Remember, if you do want that 30% off special with me, it would be my honor to be your astrologer. I do this during Thanksgiving weekend here in the United States as my gratitude weekend special, because I know that some of you are priced out of consultations with me at my usual rates. And this is a way for you to get in the door. This is a way for you to connect with me personally and to see the magic and power of your astrology. And it is the biggest discount I ever offer. So don't think that this is some kind of, trick. This is it. If you follow my work, this is it. 3 days a year, I offer 30% off, and that's the highest discount anybody ever gets with me. So I hope you decide to go to insightfulastrology.com and book your personal consultation. Enter the coupon code gratitude30 at checkout. It's in the description box below. And this expires at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time today, November 30th. Okay, guys. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. I'll see you soon. Bye.